While I wouldn't necessarily consider myself a coffee gearhead, I do love when cool products come out. And this brewer from Wacaco, the Pristina, is no exception. I stumbled upon this brewer about a week ago and looked pretty cool, kind of similar to an AeroPress. I've never personally been in the AeroPress camp. I've always preferred pour overs, French press, espresso. And I have a travel pour over setup from Wacaco that's been great. And so when I saw this, I was like, hey, this is pretty cool. It's simple. It has a mesh reusable filter. So why not give it a try? I ordered it online. It was about $34. The total with shipping was just under $39, and got here in about 10 days from China, and comes in this nice box, pretty small. So without further ado, let's give this a whirl and see how the coffee tastes. So I've got my coffee grounds. It is 15 grams. We've got this 8-ounce, 240 milliliter cup, so 15 grams of coffee. I've got my water heated to 204 degrees just off the kettle, and I'm gonna go ahead and prep this. So kind of is similar, reminds me a little bit of the AeroPress in that you're going to pour your ground coffee into this receptacle with the filter screen plunger at the bottom, and use my phone here as a timer. And so it's got the marks on the side, so we know where to stop the fill. And it does have a max fill line, so we want to make sure we pay attention to that. And this is only my second time using this Pristina, and I've noticed that the plastic is not a great at protecting your hands from the hot temperature, so be cautious. And I'm gonna go ahead and add my water now. Actually, what you want to do is you take this cup that it's going to dispense into, and I'm just going to insert it slightly so it's kind of locked and resting. And I learned this from the first time. You don't want the plunger completely flush with the bottom. You want it to be inset slightly so it's locked on your cup, so when you start pressing down, you don't wobble and potentially spill and burn yourself. So just keep that in mind. I have a lighter roasted coffee today. I tried it with the darker roast the first time, and this one is from Peru. It's an organic coffee. It's got some nice milk chocolate pear toffee notes. And I'm gonna go ahead and, I lost my mark, there we go. All right. So, and what it says, the instruction video says to let it steep for a minute, and you've got this handy dandy little paddle, tablespoon combo here. So it says to give it a stir, and go ahead and do that. And what I found the first time, so Wacaco recommends a medium grind for this Pristina. I found that it was still lacking a little bit of depth of flavor. So since this is my second time using it, I thought, well, I'm gonna change one variable. I'm gonna grind just slightly finer. So I went 1 click finer, and I'm gonna try it and see if it fixes the flavor. So the other thing too is you will get a little bit of a drip once it starts seeping through the filter. So I'm going to screw my top on here, and then I'm going to press. It's been a minute, and it says to press slowly. Not too slow, not too fast. And you do get a little bit of seepage, a little bit of leaking with this. Of course, it's not a completely sealed brew method. So, and the nice thing is once it's done, this just lifts off easily. It's not attached. There's no like friction fit or anything. So I know when dealing with hot liquids, I tend to get a little cautious and be slow, so it's nice to be able to just pick this up, and that's it. Lay out my little towel here, and then you've got your puck of coffee in the top there, so we'll let that cool off. And it is still quite hot. So there is a little rubber ring around the top here, and it's not, I mean, it's not great from a thermal insulation perspective. So, you know, feel like this is the right size to even, you could use like a koozie or something to protect your hand. Just a thought. You do get this nifty little travel bag to store all of the Pristina components in, which is nice. Keeps it all together. I've also got the buku scale, so it's actually fits nicely in here as well. So very portable. So from travel standpoint, super convenient, quick, and you don't have to mess with the filters and everything because it's got that reusable mesh filter. So, all right, so let's do a taste test. So aroma is really nice. And like I said, I am very familiar with this coffee. It's great coffee, by the way, if you want to try a organic processed, wash processed coffee from Peru. And so I'm getting a lot of the pear and the milk chocolate in the aroma. It's got a very pleasant, balanced aroma. And it's still a little hot, so I'm just going to be careful here when I take a sip. Still a little hot to taste, but overall, very smooth. I'm not getting really any harshness from the brew method itself. It's still a little hot, so I'm gonna let it cool down a little bit more before I taste it again. Also, I think it's important when trying products like this or travel products to remember that we're not always in a controlled environment. You can't control every single variable, so it's important to manage expectations. You know, if I'm taking this with me, I want to have a nice cup of coffee traveling. So if I'm somewhere, I may not be able to get a good cup of coffee, but I may not have access to the best water. So every variable may not be perfect and the stars may not fully align to where you're going to get that incredible coffee experience that you might be able to replicate at home. So overall, I'm getting a lot of the milk chocolate, more of the toffee. The pear notes are a little muted, which I would have expected with this brew method. That definitely highlighted more brewing this coffee as a pour over. But overall great. I probably would even back off the grind slightly and maybe go slightly coarser. So it's one thing to keep in mind as you test different coffees with this, or you know, really any brewer, you know, kind of keep in mind like, okay, this is a good grinder setting for maybe a darker roasted coffee. This is a good grind setting for a lighter roasted coffee. And then that way, when you try something new, you kind of have a starting point to immediately go to, and you're not guesstimating. Wacaco's instructions were basically just, you know, a medium grind, which I would even go on a darker coffee, more coarse. So it's the beauty of coffee. Everybody's palate's going to be a little bit different. So the sky's the limit. You can experiment to your heart's content, find out what tastes good for you, because ultimately that's what matters and that's what's important. All right, so now that this is cooled off a little bit more, swish this around a little bit. So as it's cooling, I'm starting to get a little bit more of the fruitiness, the pear. And this is really more of a delicate coffee. It's not, you know, bam in your face like with the floral and the pear notes. Definitely more heavy on the milk chocolate toffee. But overall, I would say this is like a solid 8 out of 10, the brew method. And when you think about how far things have come and just the technology that we have and what's available to us, it's pretty remarkable. If you're looking for travel gear, love it, or just, you know, to have something extra around the house, it's great, affordable, and highly recommended. So I'm very satisfied with this, and I can't wait to actually take it on a trip and use it out in the field. Hope you've enjoyed this video. It's been fun making it and fun playing with this, and I can't wait to play with this Pristina even more using different coffees. So if you haven't, give us a like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications on new videos, and as always, make it a great day. Happy brewing.